Morning, I'm Darcy Robshan with your local news update. It's nearing that time of year when Old St. Nick makes his rounds. For the 10th year in a row, he'll be making an early appearance in the border city for the annual Here Comes Santa Claus event downtown. Since its humble beginnings in 2007, the event has continued to grow. Families will not only meet the man in the red suit, they can also decorate cookies with Mrs. Claus at the clock tower.
We also have the trip to Disneyland back again this year thanks to the Downtown BID and PWM Steel. And Moonlight Photography is going to be doing a photo shoot this year for one lucky family and giving a framed print and some Christmas cards.
But the fun won't end there. The day starts with a pancake breakfast and wraps up with a bang.
Mickey and Minnie will be wandering around. We have the fireworks with the Service Credit Union and BioClean Disaster Services to end the day. We just have a whole bunch of events, including gingerbread houses, that we want people to come down and take part in.
Here Comes Santa Claus is free for all to attend and takes place downtown Lloydminster December 2nd. This week, City Council approved the Lloydminster Facilities Corporation's request to cover a $105,000 budget deficit for the year 2017.
The Lloydminster Facilities Corporation is a wholly owned subsidiary of the city, so any debts that they have and everything would need to be paid by the city regardless.
There are a number of reasons behind the budgetary shortfall. At the top of the list, the weather earlier this year wasn't favorable for golfing.
Doesn't matter what industry you're in, weather plays a factor, and even in recreation, we don't think about that, but if you lose 2 to 3 weeks of prime golfing time, that affects the revenues at a golf course.
The facility includes a golf course, driving range, and an 8-sheet curling rink. The money to cover the budget deficit will come out of the city's surplus.
I appreciate the openness that's come forward from the corporation saying we have had a challenge, and they're certainly working through it right now.
The first time you hear the name, it sounds almost like a jewel rather than a breed of cattle. In this week's agriculture report, Gerard Lampow meets a producer with a love for a French bovine.
So that's basically when I got hooked on this breed, because I really love the docility of them, and I love the color of them, and I love the size of them.
Gary Graham has been breeding Maine Anjou since 1970 at his ranch in Marsden, about 150 cows every year. Unlike many breeders in North America who have chosen to cross the genetics, Graham has stuck with the original Maine Anjou type and color. He feels the original breed has worked to his advantage.
Well, I think all these breeds marble the same. They're very similar, a lot of these cattle breeds. What I like about the Maine Anjou cattle, really, it was an animal that would put on a lot of weight at an early age, and they were very big cattle.
Charolais, Limousin, and Simmental are big breeds, but he says at that time in the 1970s, Maine Anjou were the biggest coming out of France, with bulls weighing 3,600 to 4,000 pounds. The Saskatchewan Maine Anjou Association came out in the 70s, and Graham was the first president. He stuck it out even through the BSE crisis.
I've hung on to this thing for 40-some years. I'm a diehard.
Graham has seen the trends, and one of his concerns is that as trends change, the true nature of the product could be lost. He is concerned about the push for bigger cattle.
I've raised big cows and I've raised little cows, and I am still of the mindset that it doesn't cost any more to feed a big cow than a little cow.
Graham remains happy with market trends.
The reality of it is, it has paid for us. We've exported more cattle than anybody in our breed. We've sold cattle in the last few years since BSE 22 times to the States, to 11 different states. And we've also sent embryos and semen to Germany, Brazil, Australia, and New Zealand.
This year his biggest customer was in Texas, 27 females plus embryos. What has helped his operation is that his bloodlines and DNA have been tested and certified as the true French breed, and it's that feature which the market craves.
It's paying the bills.
Gerard Lampow, Newcap News.
Vendors were hard at work setting up for the much-anticipated Christmas craft fair and Chamber Expo. The annual expo features over 400 booths showcasing handmade items just in time for the holiday season.
It takes me all year to prepare for this one. I call it unique Christmas creations. Just all sorts of things, wreaths, swags, traditional centerpieces.
The event attracts over 15,000 shoppers, which is the reason Stang makes the long commute every year to sell her handmade items.
It's a very well done show. I hope people continue to support it in Lloydminster and surrounding areas because it's a very well done show. It's a 5.5 hour drive, so it would have to be to bring me that way in this time of year, pulling a trailer.
The expo begins tomorrow and will go until Sunday at the Lloyd X.
This is Newcap Sports.
For 11 years, one man has been the voice of the Bonnyville Pontiacs. Rob Hunter began his broadcasting career in Antigonish, Nova Scotia, as the play-by-play voice of the St. Francis Xavier hockey programs. After a short stint in Prince Albert, Hunter made his way to Bonnyville and found someone to take a chance on him at the junior level.
11 years ago when I started in Bonnyville, there wasn't a radio broadcast in Bonnyville. So I needed somebody to give me the opportunity to grow a product. That first year we did a game a week. We only did 26 games out of a 62 game schedule. That's grown to now we do every single game no matter what. I take great pride in not only being the voice of the Bonnyville Pontiacs, but knowing that other people are listening and knowing that I've got to tell their story as well. And while I admit I'm a bit of a homer, I'm quite proud of the way that I represent other teams when they're in this community.
For Bobby Young takes it behind the net. It's knocked off his stick, but comes to Willis at the line.
He's an exceptional broadcaster. He's great at what he does. He's is a tremendous human being that wants better for the Bonnyville Pontiacs organization. He wants better for the town of Bonnyville, and he does that by doing things like the World Junior A Championships.
The list of events Hunter's called is long and robust, including one special moment he still holds close.
I had the chance to call the very first ever hockey game that was played between Connor McDavid and Jack Eichel when it was at the World Under-17s in Victoriaville, Quebec, and just have that opportunity is something that has really truly been special for me. When I look at all that I have accomplished and all the memories that I have, no, I don't foresee or I don't have anything else that I need to cross off on my bucket list of must accomplish before I pass away.
Yet with all the experience he has through all the games he's covered, there is one memory, prominent above all others.
Here we sit in the stands and we're not far from the corner where Devin Green of the Lloydminster Bobcats, a 20-year-old goaltender, gave the puck away to Evan Warmington in overtime in an elimination game in the second round of the playoffs, and he fed it out to the slot area again, just not very far from here, and it was Dylan McCombie who blasted it home and got this team into the third round of the playoffs, the North Division final, for the first time in franchise history, and the building just went absolutely nuts to see Dylan McCombie celebrate the biggest goal in Bonnyville Pontiac franchise history, and to be able to have the call on that goal, so that my voice is forever linked with what Dylan McCombie did to get Bonnyville into that third playoff round is something I'll always remember, and is something I'm very proud of.
Lance Phillips, Newcap Sports.
Kira Lyons heads to the Lloydminster Boxing Club, where she meets up with a local talent for this week's Athlete of the Week.
This week's Athlete of the Week is Darcy Fazer. Although he is fairly new to the sport of boxing, he is undefeated in his career, with sights on representing his club at both provincials and nationals next spring.
What gives me the edge is because it is a lifestyle for me. It's not what I consider my lifestyle. A lot of people would probably consider like rigorous training. It would be like training twice a day sometimes, and even when I do work, my job's like 15 hours a day. But I mean, I don't look at it, oh, I have 15 hours a day, I can't do it. It's the will, right? I got 9 hours left. You know what I mean? What do I want to do with the 9 hours I have left?
After losing his brother a year ago, Darcy found himself using boxing as a positive outlet. His goal is not to be a professional fighter, but more so to help others through the sport that helped him.
Kids have a spot they can come, they can be part of a team. He can help teach them valuable lessons in self-discipline, help teach them how to defend themselves. You know, a lot of people come from all walks of life. You don't know who's getting bullied, you don't know who's living a rough life on the streets, right? You know, everyone comes from everywhere, right? And so it is a way to help people out.
Darcy made short work of his first opponents, ending both fights before the end of the second round. Although he's found success early, his aspirations within boxing lay elsewhere.
Have my eyes set on opening my own gym eventually one day and helping other kids and training other kids. That'd be cool.
Darcy may be a fierce fighter, but when it came to teaching, he was encouraging, knowledgeable, and incredibly patient.
Okay. And always think speed, not power. Speed.
Okay, speed?
The shot that hurts the most is the shot that they don't see coming.
I can only hope that Darcy's confidence and passion rubbed off on me, as it was nothing short of inspirational. For Athlete of the Week, I'm Kira Lyons.
That's all the time we have for news, folks. You can join us later for more local stories. You can also find us on Facebook. Give us a like at Newcap Television, or send us a tweet. Find us at Newcap TV News, or follow us on Instagram at Newcap News. We'll see you again in the next hour.